This is our final video in a series of videos on the 2016 Community Development Block Grant Public Infrastructure Applications. We're going over the do not fund errors. This last category are health and safety documentation and insufficient evidence of threat to health and safety. So this is a little more nebulous concept than some of the other items that we've gone over. The threat to health and safety is something where we have to make a judgment call on it. The resource that you can go to, the 2016 CDBG PI Guidebook, Section 3C2, has documentation to health and safety, so you can go to that and read through that. The errors this year, there were quite a few. We had 15 that were removed due to insufficient evidence of threat to health and safety. Some of the errors I'll go over. One of the easiest is that the documentation has to be within the last 2 years. We had a couple that were thrown out because there was nothing that was within the last 2 years. So the threat to health and safety, what I'm going to do is go over some of the issues that we had this year just so you can understand something that would have it removed. In a couple cases, asbestos pipe for a water line was submitted, and asbestos pipe just in and of itself is not sufficient evidence of threat to health and safety. If the asbestos pipe tends to have more breaks, and therefore you have a lot of breaks which are causing low pressure, which is causing a lot of boil orders, that could meet the threat to health and safety, but just asbestos pipe by itself is not enough. In another case, we had a community that had water lines that they said had lead joints. So the lead joints in and of themselves are also not sufficient to show a threat to health and safety. In this case, that community, we went to the IEPA website and their lead test, and that community did not have any high lead readings in their water test for lead. So the mere fact that their water lines have lead joints was not sufficient to show a threat to health and safety. So some of the documentation that can, if you have letters from the EPA, if you have photos of sewage backed up in basements or in front yards, things like that are then date certified and signed by citizen complaints, things like that will meet it. But merely saying something like, in one case, they said that the lift station needed a battery backup, and the battery backup, if it doesn't work, then we could have problems. That's not sufficient as well. We need to evidence that there has been a serious threat to health and safety. So as I said, it's kind of a nebulous, and we have to make judgment calls, but I hope some of this discussion shows you some of the types of things that do not meet that level of need, so that in the future we can have applications that do meet it.